Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Legend of Corncast. I'm Jacob,
I'm Aaron.
and we're talking about probably one of our favorite games just in general.
Yep, one of the greatest games of all time.
And if you've been following along, and if you've read the title, it's Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time.
So, tell me a little bit about your backstory with this game. When did you first play Ocarina of Time?
I was. Okay, so if you've been following, Zelda is probably. I'm not going to say probably, it is our favorite franchise. Not only was Ocarina of Time my first Zelda game, it was my first video game. It came out when I was 2 years old. And it was the first game I ever played. I don't remember much of my first experiences with the game, but we had a Nintendo 64, and it was there, and it eventually just became my system, which turned out great. But that was my first experience. I ended up playing this game. I fell in love with it. Fell in love with the series. The rest is history. Yeah.
So, my story is a little bit more embarrassing. I didn't know about this game until about 2002.
Oh.
In which my babysitter played it for us, and that's when I fell in love with it. And then I myself didn't actually own this game until 2009?
Funny thing is, my copy of the game is my original copy.
Yeah, my copy is not.
Mine's version 1, so it has all the cut music, the original Mirror Shield.
Yeah, so my copy is whatever copy that Brian bought in the last, 10 years. I just bought it off of him, But I didn't actually own this game until 2009 when it was on the Wii Virtual Console, and that was when I first got to play it for myself as opposed to watching somebody else play it. But I still accuse this game of being the game that made me fall in love with games.
I would too, honestly.
Because I played I want to say I played a fair bit of games before this game came into my life, but this is one that changed me. Because I was, I guess, 8 when I first experienced it. So, every 8-year-old or everybody, their favorite Zelda game is the one that came out when they were 8.
Either that or it's the one you remember experiencing the most.
Yeah.
Or played the most.
So this one has got a very very special place in my heart. For a lot of reasons, actually. I love the style of this game. Because everything else on the N64 was kind of it's kind of kiddie and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Super Mario 64 is kind of kiddie. Donkey Kong 64 is also that. Same with Banjo and whatnot. This one is kind of it's a bit darker and creepier for an N64 game.
Mm-hmm. I feel like anybody could just pick it up and play it.
Yeah, no, anybody could play it. It's not like it was a hard game. I'm just saying.
My dad did. My dad was like, "Here, play this game. I'm sure you'll like it."
I'm just saying, because it kind of goes for a realistic look, but it also goes
at the time it was viewed as realistic.
But it also goes for all the characters kind of look, I don't know what I'm trying to go for here. They kind of all look like they're dead inside. They're all this place sucks. Even the people who are happy look like they're
I literally thought about I think it's a man at the lakeside house.
Oh, you talking about the professor?
The professor, he just looks like he should be put down.
Speaking of the lakeshore house, there's a jump scare.
I had no idea. What are you talking about?
Well, if you dive down into the pool, there's a JPEG shark down there.
I thought there was just rupees and a gold sculpture.
No, there's a JPEG down there.
I know.
It's great. Yeah, so a lot of people have looked into that for some reason, and I think it's just a JPEG.
Yeah, for some reason theories are getting done. I was just I think it's just a laugh from developers.
Yeah, it's just...
Because there's a heart piece also for diving all the way down there.
It's a shark. That's all
it's just a laugh. There's no theories for Hylian sharks or anything like that. It's just for laughs.
Yeah. Or a jump scare. To spook kids for going down there the first time. I'm going to dive down. Oh my God, there's a shark.
So, if I had to pick something that I really, really loved about this game in particular, out of all the Zelda games, it would be the bosses.
Yeah, no, this game has got a whole slew of just amazing bosses.
Except for one boss in particular. I'm not going to name names yet.
You might as well.
Yeah, I'm going to. Morpha. I'm going to say Morpha is just... It's average. It's not... Okay, if we're talking about the greatness of Ocarina of Time's bosses, Morpha's just not that great.
I mean, there's got to be a boss at the bottom of the list anyway, but I don't know. I like Morpha. I think it's the unique design.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, aside from just the amoeba part, like, just being made of water.
Getting launched by the room by him is pretty cool, or whatever it is. It's a brain, a nucleus.
Yeah, it's an amoeba.
Yeah.
That's what I'm calling it. I don't give a damn what anybody else says. I might be wrong. Whatever.
He's probably easiest to kill because you can just corner him in the room.
Yeah, and you just hook shot him and slap him around a bit, and he's dead.
And it's also, I think, the best fight in the game is in that same temple. It's surprisingly the water temple, the Dark Link fight.
I think it's fine. It's nothing.
I love it.
It's nothing special if you come in with the Biggoron sword. I'm not gonna lie, because
to be fair though, the Biggoron sword makes that whole game easy.
Well, no. What I'm saying is that the whole uniqueness of Dark Link, him jumping on your sword, him countering your moves, it's all gone as soon as you use the Biggoron sword.
And don't lock onto him.
Like, you
can also fight him with the Megaton hammer.
You can. I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
I mean, most people would probably only have the Megaton hammer going into that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're a new player, you probably wouldn't have done the side quest for the Biggoron sword. But if you go in there with that, like, anything unique that he does, he's just a punching bag now. He doesn't get any unique moves or anything. It's just
he's just your shadow.
Yeah.
But the reason I love the fight so much is all the hit and miss details about him. Like, okay, so there's an island you walk in there. There's an island in the middle of this room, and you're surrounded by water, like just puddles of water. You walk up to the island. There's nothing there. There's nothing around you, but you'll notice. Not everyone's gonna notice this on their first playthrough. As soon as you leave that island and keep walking towards the next door that's locked, your shadow is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And you look behind you, and it stayed back on that island because you're fighting your shadow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always loved that so much. I thought it was one of the greatest details of that fight that I never noticed. And also, the number of hits it takes to defeat Dark Link is how many heart containers you have.
Yeah, so if you stocked up on hearts...
the fight's going to be harder.
Well, it's going to be longer.
It's going to be not really harder, because every hit is one heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other bosses that... You want to just go down the line of bosses and
just say which ones are our favorite?
Just start at the beginning. So Goma. It's a tutorial boss.
Easy as hell.
Fun fact about Goma. I forgot how to fight him one time. Or her, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's considered a her.
Because
it has babies.
I didn't bring... I had the slingshot, but I completely spaced that you had to shoot it with the slingshot. So it would put its claws into the ground and whatnot. And I'd run up to it and I'd just take contact damage. I'm like, why is this not working? What's going on? What kind of magic is this that has made Goma impossible? And I'm like, oh, wait. Deku, or not Deku, Slingshot. Yeah. Yeah. I felt real good after that fight.
I actually didn't know you could, this is actually the easiest way to beat her. Well, I always used Deku Nuts when she was on the ground to stun her.
Oh, I mean, you can do that too.
Yeah, I didn't know you were supposed to use the slingshot. You know when she's having the babies on the top? You're supposed to use the slingshot and hit her in the eyeball.
Yeah, and she falls down and you just
and she's stunned. She's stunned for like ever. Mm-hmm. That way. And then you could just bring out a Deku stick and hit her and kill her in like 3 hits.
That's okay. So next boss would be King Dadango.
A great fight, I might add.
I mean, he's basically just like any other Dadango. Except for if you have the...
Dadango dislikes smoke.
If you've got the Hylian shield, you're completely immune to him.
Yeah, you just go sit in the corner.
Yeah, it was just roll past you. It's great. It doesn't make any sense.
It's better to actually just keep running away from him, though. It feels like more of a cooler fight.
Yeah, that's probably what they intended for you to do.
Yeah.
It's just if you like, turtle in front of him, you just can't do anything.
He looks great in the game, though.
Yeah, no, he looks good. Especially considering the other Dodongos in that game look like garbage.
Yeah.
Like, where are their back legs? Why don't they have those?
Right.
Why do they just have 2 legs and a tail? That doesn't make any sense.
And the next boss, can we talk about what a monstrosity that is? Inside Jabu Jabu's belly?
The big Octorok?
It's like a Baronade.
Well, yeah,
it's called Baronade.
I know Baronade.
What is it?
Big Octorok is the next one up.
It's a mid-boss.
Yeah, it's the first mid-boss, I think. I don't think there's a
Yeah, it technically is the mid-boss.
I don't think there's a mid-boss.
Okay, so we're talking about mid-bosses too.
Yeah, we're just going to go down the line. I mean,
okay.
Might as well. Big Octorok. Just a big Octorok. You hit him in the butt.
Pretty much. He'll eventually turn around and get you.
Yeah, it sucks. And the room is bad. It's just a circle. You can't touch
I always get hit by the spikes.
Yeah, there's spikes in the middle of the room. Don't touch them.
Don't touch them. Spikes are bad.
Alright, so, Baronade.
Weak to boomerangs, I've heard.
Yeah, Baronade is a weird one, because I don't know what it's supposed to be. I mean, it's like a leech. Well, it's not really a leech, but...
An abomination?
Yeah, it's just gross.
It has jellyfish attached to it.
Yeah, and then you kill it and it turns into meat.
I don't know what it is.
Explodes into meat.
That's like a question for the Zelda wiki.
I'm sure there's something that it's a parasite is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, Baronade is very weird. And that whole dungeon's weird. Going inside of a big fish is just a weird thing for me.
When I first played that game, I didn't know how to get to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just have to drop the fish outside Jabu Jabu and he just sucks you in. I was like, what is going on? Is this a dungeon?
Did I want to do that?
I was like,
am I dead now?
This does not seem like this is supposed to happen.
So I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here. The Master Quest version of Lord Jabu Jabu is even more bizarre.
Yeah.
So the switches in the regular one are like they look like they'd be part of Lord Jabu Jabu himself, like weird undulations or whatever. The switches in the Master Quest are cows.
Is it the same in the 3DS version?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
They're just cows that are stuck in his like insides, and they're gross as hell.
As I played the 3DS version, I think once, and I was like, how the hell do you get past this part?
Yeah, no, the first room you go in, there's just a cow sitting in the wall, and you're like, okay, that's new. I'm just going to ignore that. Yeah, because I remember doing that, and I got frustrated. I'm like, cow, stop laughing at me, and I just shot it with the slingshot. And it's like, oh, open the door. I'm like, oh. Well, that's interesting. Gonna save that one for later.
That's great.
Also in Lord Jabu Jabu's belly, there are bubbles. But not the bubbles that are skulls. Bubbles that are bubbles. And they're called Biri Biri. That's just a fun fact from Jacob. At least I'm pretty sure they're Biri Biri. Maybe they're Bari Bari.
You're right. I remember what you're talking about, too. It's like...
Yeah, it's weird little little bubbles.
They're actual bubbles. You can just run into them.
Yeah.
I didn't actually know they were called that. He just told me that.
Yeah. It's weird.
Like you said, fun fact.
Yeah. You can take that one to the bank and cash it.
Yep.
I wouldn't recommend it. They'd probably laugh at you. Anyway, next boss.
Debatably, I think the best boss, but not... It's a tie, I think, in my opinion.
Well, we gotta talk about the mid-boss first.
Dinofoals?
No. Wait. We're talking about the Forest Temple, right?
Yeah, they're not Dinofoals.
No, the mid-boss is the Poe Sisters.
Are they the Poe Sisters?
Yeah, the Poe Sisters in the Forest Temple.
I didn't think they were the mid-boss.
Meg is basically the mid-boss.
Oh.
I mean, you don't get it. I mean, the dungeon revolves around them.
Oh, I was thinking they're not Dinofoals, Stelphos. Before you get the bow.
Yeah, I don't consider that. That's just.
I consider them the mid boss because you get the bow and you kill two of them and then the floor drops.
Yeah. I just consider the Poe Sisters to be the mid boss.
Technically, yeah. That's why I really like the dungeon. Plus, I think the Forest Temple has the best dungeon theme.
I don't know about that.
It's either the Forest Temple or the Spirit Temple.
I don't know about that.
What would you argue as the best dungeon theme?
My personal favorite is the Shadow Temple, actually.
It's...
Because it's super creepy and not annoying.
I like the original, like, version 1.0 Fire Temple, the chanting. I get why it was removed, but I was like, damn, you ruined a good dungeon theme. Now it just sounds boring.
Okay, so anyway, going on to what you consider one of the best bosses in the game.
Phantom Ganon, the first iteration of him.
Mm-hmm. Now, why do you consider him to be the best boss?
Because the game was originally supposed to be like Super Mario 64, having you traverse paintings to get from one area to the other inside Ganon's castle. And this boss fight kind of recycled that idea to have you looking for Ganon, well, Ganondorf as he is in this game, looking for him in paintings. And he comes out of those paintings, you have to look for him, essentially. And as the fight traverses, some of them are decoys.
Yeah.
I just liked it. I thought it was a really good idea. The reason I really love the Forest Temple, the reason it's my favorite dungeon personally, is the setting. It is
the bow and arrow. Gotcha.
It's literally an abandoned mansion. Some consider it to be a fortress. Like an abandoned Hylian fortress in the middle of like a forest that's just in the middle of nowhere.
Well, it's not in the middle of nowhere. It's to the left of nowhere.
Kinda.
No, it's
guarded by moblins. The only place they are in the game.
It's in the lower right of nowhere.
And it's guarded by moblins. The only place they are in the game.
Yeah, they're only 3D iteration. Well, I guess I can't say only 3D iteration.
And they're huge in this game.
I mean, they are intimidating.
Probably the only time they're ever intimidating is in Ocarina of Time.
Yeah. So anyway, speaking about Phantom Ganon, Brennan had some fun with that one because he didn't know that if you stand on the Triforce insignias on the ground, you're completely safe.
Is that true?
Yeah, because when he comes in, if you don't shoot him and he does his like thunder or his lightning attack, it won't hit the insignias. It'll always go around them. So if you just position yourself on one of them and then pivot, you're safe. And for some reason, he had a hard time like figuring that out. But I mean, I don't mind the Phantom Ganon fight. I like the first phase more than the second one because the second one's just baseball. Or
table tennis, ping pong.
I guess later games would call it Dead Man's Volley, but it's all the same.
Yeah, I just like it. Forest Temple is probably in my top 5 favorite Zelda dungeons.
Tennis for 2. All right, so moving on to the fire dungeon, Fire Temple.
Another great dungeon.
Let's see. The mid boss was the Flame Dancer, right?
There's 3 of them.
There's 3 Flame Dancers.
There's 3 of them.
I remember 2. I don't remember the third one for some reason.
There might be only 2 of them actually. I don't remember.
Anyway, they just pop out. You shoot them with an arrow, and then
can you hook shot them?
I think you can hook. I think if you can kill it with an arrow, you can kill it with a hook shot.
I think hook shotting it takes it completely out of its dancing phase, if I remember correctly.
That's what you want, yeah.
I think it's better than chasing it.
Yeah, you pull it towards you, and you slap it around, and it's a little like bomb-looking guy.
Yeah.
And then moving on to the boss is Volvega.
Volvagia.
Whatever. Doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
He used to be called Barba.
It's a chick.
Whatever.
It's a girl dragon.
It used to be called Barba. It's the first, or it's the only recurring boss that they took from the original
Zelda 2.
From Zelda 2. Even though they changed the name and changed the lore.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well,
we can make a better dragon than this, not just one that pops out of the floor. Says hi.
The boss fight is basically whack-a-mole. They even give you a hammer.
It is whack-a-mole. I never put that together until now, but it is whack-a-mole.
They even give you the hammer. It's just, he's a noodle dragon, or it's a noodle dragon, and you just whack it when it comes out.
When it comes out, you can shoot it with your bow, too.
I never do that.
I did.
I always conserve the bow for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, so you could find like needless amount of arrows.
Yeah, no, you'll have...
The bow doesn't do as much damage, obviously, as like your sword and hammer, but it's bonus damage. It's chip damage.
Yeah. And then this boss has like a little secret that if you climb down on the wall...
You're safe from the rocks.
Yeah, it drops rocks on you and you're
Which I did not know that was climbable.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't look like it, but it is.
I always thought if you fell into the lava, you were just fucked.
But yeah, so that's that guy.
We pretty much already talked about the water dungeon.
We've talked about Dark Link and Morpha. So, Shadow Dungeon. Shadow Temple.
Which debatably has the best bosses.
It does. So before you can access the Shadow Temple, you got to go under the well.
Which this is, we haven't really if you haven't played Ocarina of Time, there is 2 elements. There's the child version and the adult version.
It kind of carries on the thing that A Link to the Past did with 2 worlds, a light and dark world, except this one is the child world, and then 7 years later it's the adult.
So essentially you have to go back to the kid time and go through this place called the Bottom of the Well.
Mm-hmm. It's the Well of 3 Futures. Dark, narrow, and scary.
It's
for
your first time as a kid, it's probably pretty scary.
Hell, back in 2009 when I was first playing, I'm like, man, this is spooky. I don't like this.
This is extra spook.
Somebody hold my hand. But anyway, so this mid-boss has become probably my favorite of most of the mid-bosses in this entire franchise. Dead Hand. Watch out for its infinite hands. So you walk into the room.
Ugh.
You walk in there, and there's just these arms that are sticking out of the ground. You know, just like waving. And you're like, well, I guess I'll run up there and I'll slash him and I'll kill it because, it's probably a monster. They grab you, and the Dead Hand arises from the ground. And he just, shuffles toward you.
Fun fact, you can use... you can't do this in the Bottom of the Well because you get the Lens of Truth there. You can use the Lens of Truth because he's also in the Shadow Temple as the mid-boss.
Except he has more hands.
Yeah, he does have more hands. It's a bigger room, too.
He's more of a handful.
He's also... Yeah, when we said this dungeon is creepy, these dungeons are creepy, it's because they are. And he is a creepy-looking boss.
Yeah, no, he's just pale, and he's got red splatters on him. I know it's supposed to be blood, but...
Yeah. He's got a really big mouth, too.
Really long neck, and when he shuffles towards you, he's looking upward.
He's got, claws, too.
Yeah, and, they're not, like
hand claws. They just look like they're...
They end in points.
They look like they're just made to pierce.
Yeah, and he's really fucking creepy. And I love him. Because he makes no sense in this game.
But anyway, you can use the Lens of Truth to see where he's going to pop up at next. And you can bomb that spot and he'll rise. I didn't know this until recently.
I always just get grabbed by the hand and I let him come at me.
Yeah.
And I just deal with him that way. But yeah, no, he exists. And you fight him twice.
Twice. Once was not enough.
Look, he's really mad you took his treasure.
You get 2 treasures from him, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. He's really upset about that.
You get boots and you get a magnifying glass.
All right.
See hidden things.
And so this is my favorite boss of Ocarina of Time, Bongo Bongo. Basically, he's 2 hands and an upper torso.
Yeah.
That has been decapitated.
His hands are severed.
Yes.
And you have to use the Lens of Truth to see him because he is invisible.
He is in fact a ghost.
Part of him is invisible.
Yeah, his torso is invisible. His hands are not. Now the game I think expects you to use the bow on him, on his hands, and his quote unquote eye. Mm-hmm. But I used a hook shot. I used a long shot on that.
I never know if that makes it easier.
I think it does because you never run out of long shot.
Yeah, that's true. He is debatably the easiest. I think the Shadow Temple, its flaw and its boss, not the fact that it's easy, but it's just really short and it's over quickly.
It's very linear, but I assume that the Bottom of the Well is supposed to be considered part of the Shadow Temple.
Mm-hmm. It's a great temple, but it's just I don't consider it the best, in my opinion. I love it very much, though.
I love the theme of it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'd call it the best dungeon in that game, but the theme of it is really good.
It's by no means the worst.
And then moving on to the final temple, the Spirit Temple.
Ah, yes. One of the best ones.
And the Spirit Temple is unique because you have to first go there as an adult, and then you go back as a kid to fight the first mini-boss. Or the mid-boss, or whatever.
You start there as an adult and you can't do anything.
Yeah, you basically like, oh man, this sucks. But you go back as a kid and you're allowed to go through the left side of the temple. and you fight the Iron Knuckle, who hasn't been seen since Zelda 2.
There are Iron Knuckles in Zelda or Ocarina of Time, aren't they?
Mm-hmm, they're Iron Knuckles. The Dark Nuts did not make an appearance. Woo.
Yep.
And then it turns out the Iron Knuckles are actually just Gerudos in armor.
Yep. All of them.
Even the ones where the Gerudos shouldn't be Iron Knuckles. And by that, I mean
they just use the same model.
Yeah. And then you come back and you fight the final of the temple bosses, Twin Rova. You want to explain this one?
Alright, so you get an item in the game called the Mirror Shield. Essentially what it does is reflect... It can reflect things. Hence...
Like a mirror.
A mirror. It reflects light throughout the entire dungeon. And here, you fight one witch that is good in fire. I think they're called Kume and...
Koma and Kuma. I don't know. One ends with an E, one ends with an A.
Yeah. Okay, one is really good in fire and one's really good in ice. So what you want to do is power up your shield in one of those elements and hit the other sister with the other, because apparently fire is weak against ice, if you don't know your Pokemon.
Well, you know, ice is cold, fire is hot. One likes to be cold, the other likes to be hot.
So anyways, you power up the shield. I think it takes three. Takes 2 things of fire, 2 things of ice, and you hit the other witch. Eventually, they morph together.
And they become sexy.
And
they become a bigger witch.
They become waifu.
I mean, to somebody, I'm sure.
Waifu Twin Rova.
Mm-hmm.
And you pretty much do the same thing again.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of the second phase. You're right, it is. You gotta just reflect the thing twice at them.
And then you go stab her with a sword.
Well, no, in the second phase, she'll throw fireballs and ice balls. And
you can...
you have to reflect... Or you have to absorb 3 of...
The same
one of them.
If the wrong one hits your shield, you will take some damage.
Yeah, so you want to absorb 3 fireballs in a row or 3 ice balls in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can basically use it as a flamethrower / ice thrower. And then you knock her onto a platform, and then, you go up and you slash her.
Mm-hmm.
And then, final dungeon-wise, I don't think Ganon's Tower adds any new bosses or mid-bosses or anything.
No, there's just a lot of Iron Knuckles.
Yeah, Iron Knuckles, Dynaphos, Stalfos, all the big enemies.
Yeah, you get a new item there, that's about it.
But yeah, and then it finally culminates into the Ganondorf fight.
How great that fight is.
Where
we gotta also reiterate, which we haven't yet. This is the first appearance of Ganondorf.
Yeah.
The
first time he shows up in a game, not just the manual.
Because this is, theoretically, in this timeline, this is where the timeline splits. Into 3, you have the...
It's not even theoretically, that's how it is.
I didn't mean to say theoretically.
Well, you did.
I know. Sometimes,
you upset me.
I'm sorry. It splits into the hero is successful timeline in defeating Ganon. The hero is defeated by Ganon. And the hero is sent back.
Also known as the adult and child timelines.
Yes. It all makes sense on paper. As confusing as it is.
It's really not all that confusing, actually.
It's not. It was before the Hyrule Historia came out.
Even then, it really wasn't. Because you just think about it okay, so...
If you play the games and really read and don't skip the dialogue...
Well, what I'm saying is, the adult timeline doesn't just go away because Link's gone. That one still exists.
The timeline that really didn't make sense... Well, it did make sense because Ganondorf won in some games. I mean, in Link to the Past.
The downfall timeline is the one that's kind of weird because it's because it's not canonical that Link loses.
Yeah, Link's not supposed to lose.
But a lot of people were I know Josh was confused about how the adult timeline and the child timeline can exist at the same time, and it's just because
it's because Ocarina of Time it has so much time travel.
Well, I mean, even though Link goes back in time, that doesn't erase the adult timeline. That stuff still happens.
Mm-hmm.
It splits into a new timeline, which is the child timeline.
And when Link gets sent back, he has all the knowledge of the adult timeline.
Yeah, and
which is how Ganondorf
gets
executed in a whole nother game.
Yeah. But we won't talk about that one for a while.
We will, though.
That's going to be a few weeks.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, the Ganondorf fight is essentially Phantom Ganon again. His second phase. Where you
little bit tougher, though.
Where you play Dead Man's Volley. Also, do not fail Dead Man's Volley. You will take a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And then there's platforms that...
He does an earthquake, essentially.
Yeah, he'll shake platforms off the ground, and I don't know if you can ever get to a fail state with that.
What's the other move he does, too, which you have to do a spin attack?
He launches a super death ball at you.
Pretty much.
And it's like 8 of them at once, but if you can time a spin attack... You can hit all 8 back and just immediately knock them down.
Okay, this fight, especially for people like us, is super easy. But can we just say how great it is?
Oh, no, it feels great.
It's fucking awesome.
Because there's a lot of build-up to it. Like,
it's so much build-up.
You're climbing this tower, and then you can hear Ganondorf playing his theme music in the background.
Oh my god. The more you climb Ganon's tower, the louder it gets.
And then you kick down the door, and he's just over there playing the organ.
Kick down the door.
He's playing the pipe organ. He's like, "Yo, what's up?"
Triforce of Courage pops up. Triforce of Wisdom pops up on Zelda.
Triforce of Courage pops up.
And he's just like, yeah. You guys have what I want. Now return it.
I'd kick down the doors to the Sacred Realm. That belongs to me. Anyway, I mean, if I just kill you, I just have it back.
And that's how another whole timeline starts.
And then, so you kill Ganon. Well, I guess we
didn't reiterate that in this fight you have to shoot him with light arrows.
Yeah, you stun him with his own...
It takes a lot to knock the man down.
You stun him with his own magic attack, and then you're allowed to shoot him with the light arrow. Because if he's not stunned, he's just going to slap the arrow out of the sky.
Keep in mind that light arrows literally say that they are supposed to completely exterminate evil.
Yeah,
and they just stun him.
Yeah, he just drops to a knee.
He drops to a knee.
So one of the cool things about this fight is the more damage you do to him, the more tattered his cape gets.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the only time there's battle damage in this game. Which is a really cool feature that you probably wouldn't notice.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so, you pummel him into the ground, and he's just like, man, this sucks.
I'm getting my ass whooped by a kid.
Guess what? If I die, you die too. And he's like, well, I'm just gonna crash my castle. See ya. And then you get the final fight of Ganon.
Gotta remember, Ganon has the Triforce of Power.
Yeah, he's like, I ain't getting crushed by my own castle. I'm not some sort of wiener. And then, he just becomes Ganon, and he's very big, and he has swords. And I think this is probably the coolest incarnation of Ganon that I've seen.
And you gotta remember, Link doesn't kill Ganon. He needed the power of the Seven Sages to lock him away. Yeah, Ganon was that strong in Ocarina of Time.
Even with a sword that kills evil, specifically made to kill evil, he's like, yo, I'm not dying.
Getting stabbed in the dome, too, on my head.
Through the forehead.
Doesn't kill him, he has to get locked away.
Yeah. Yeah, Ganon is very powerful.
It's probably... Everyone's going to say, Link to the Past Ganon is the strongest. No, I'm going to say Ocarina of Time is. It's the best version of Ganon. Ganondorf.
Yeah.
It really is. I don't think it gets much better.
So that's basically the boss rundown. That took a lot longer.
That's the game rundown. We just said the whole game.
That took a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be. We've got some minor points here.
Yeah.
Let's see. So Ocarina of Time was the first game was the game to introduce several new races consisting of like the Zoras, which I think are the rivers.
River people.
I don't know if they're specifically the river Zoras or if they're the sea Zoras, because they're two different.
They're an aquatic race.
Well, no, the river. It's either the river Zoras are bad or the sea Zoras are bad. Depending on where they live, Zoras are bad.
Yeah.
It might be sea Zoras, because I think the river Zoras are the ones from like Link to the Past.
Mm-hmm.
The Gorons, the Gerudo,
and Ganondorf is actually is Gerudo. Gerudo, however the hell you pronounce it.
Yeah, Gerudo.
And they're only males
He's
are
the
only
calico cat of the Gerudos.
because male Gerudo are only born every 100 years,
Mm-hmm.
and they are meant to be the king of the Gerudo. If you don't know your Zelda backstory,
Is it really Gerudo? I thought it was Gerudo.
Gerudo.
Anyway,
I'm pretty sure you're right. It is Gerudo.
It's gonna irritate me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And then the Kokiri, which are actually just Hylians who live in a forest.
Except they never grow up.
Yeah, because they live in the forest.
Yeah.
They're just Hylians. At least I'm pretty sure they're just Hylians.
They're forest children.
Yeah.
That's essentially all they are.
Then it also introduced the race of Dekutri.
Yeah.
There's like 4 of them.
And he dies right at the beginning.
Yeah.
He's pretty much the Ben Parker of Zelda series. He's not. He doesn't die in every game.
No, he only dies in that one.
Yeah.
And then it also introduces the 3 goddesses, which the game will hammer over your head because you will hear the story like 3 times at the beginning.
You hear it a lot as the kid, which is fine because it sets up your main goal, which we've already described, towards the end of the game. Because these goddesses, they didn't create the Triforce. Did they create the Triforce?
They did.
And they're always destined to be given to Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf.
Not particularly destined to be given to them. It's just people who
are meant to
embody that, embody either power, courage, or wisdom.
Yeah.
Because it can be picked up by anybody, as seen by a later game. But that was not canon. But we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but like
this was also the first game to introduce collectibles, sculptureless.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't even say collectibles because like Link's Awakening had collectibles, like it had seashells.
They didn't. Not Link's. Wait, yeah, you're right.
Link's Awakening.
Yeah,
don't you look at me like I don't know what I'm talking about.
You're right, and I was like, the original had that.
But no, going back to the goddesses. So they create the world, each one of them adding a certain thing, and I'm just refreshing everybody who's seen this cutscene 3 times now.
If you've played the game, you know.
And then they decided to leave the Triforce behind for some reason. I don't know if it's ever explained why.
You know this very dangerous thing that if you collect all 3, any wish can be yours. Let's just leave it in the power of humans.
But so this thing essentially creates the Hyrulean Civil War. And everybody's like, man, I want that power. And they're like, no, put that power somewhere else. Put it in the Sacred Realm so nobody can have it.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I don't know. And then they block out the Sacred Realm with a sword and 3 stones. Each given to a different race. So,
Yeah.
So nobody can just, like go in there. And that's the whole reason why bad things happen in the child timeline. In the child part of the game, it's because Ganon's like, I want them stones.
To get my power.
Tree, give me a stone.
That's why he kills the Great Deku Tree.
Well, he doesn't. No, he puts a curse on the Deku,
yeah,
Deku Tree.
It's pretty much the reason he dies.
And then, like, I really love the way he antagonizes the Gorons. He just does this, like, fuck it, I'll just put a rock in front of their cave.
So now they can't eat.
This is a starter death. Whatever, I'm out of here. I'm Ganon. Peace. And, yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to say is just kind of retcons and retells the intro to Link to the Past.
Mm-hmm.
It specifically retcons the 7 wise men to the 7 sages. Because half the sages are not men.
Yeah.
In fact, there's 2?
Let's see, there's Saria, there's Naburu.
Rudo.
There's 3. Oh, and Impa.
Okay, so there's
4.
There's 2 guys. Rauru and Darunia.
Yeah.
And then
There's Zelda, there's 5.
Yeah.
There's 7 sages, right?
Yeah, we're up to 7. Yeah. That's why they got retconned to 7 sages and not 7 wise men, considering 5 of them were not men.
Darunia
and Rauru were the 2 guys.
That's it.
Yeah. But yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. Aside from the retconning and whatnot.
It pretty much bettered the lore of Zelda from Link to the Past.
Yeah, it acts as a prequel.
Yeah, but this game is actually before A Link to the Past.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It acts like a prequel.
This was the first game to implement equipable and unequipable gear. Not unequipable, but like...
Well, no, they were unequipable because like the boots, the iron boots and the hover boots.
Yeah, like you could have different boots and different...
You could unequip them and...
Like you need to wear the Goron tunic to survive harsh heat.
And then the Zora tunic to not
underwater.
drown.
Yeah.
And then you can use the iron boots to, walk underwater.
And then, I don't know if we were going to talk about the remake in this, but I'm really glad they fixed it so you didn't have to keep pressing pause to take off the boots.
Yeah, in Ocarina of Time 3D, they changed the boots from, like, a gear thing to an actual item, which was a godsend.
Yeah, that was so annoying. That's what made the Water Temple, like, the worst dungeon.
Yeah. The other thing that made the Water Temple the worst thing is the musical item.
Oh.
The Ocarina of Time.
Just changing the water.
Yeah, you have to play a specific song at certain points to raise and lower water, which leads into the next thing, the musical item, the Ocarina of Time. You could learn songs.
Yeah, this was the first...
There was, 12 songs to learn?
There was a way to... Okay, yeah, there was 12. There was the 6 traversal songs, and then Song of Time, Zelda's Lullaby, Epona's Song... Sun Song, Song of Storms. That it?
Did you say Saria's song?
And Saria's song, yeah.
And then there's a hidden 13th song.
Scarecrow song.
Scarecrow song, which you get to make up yourself.
Yes.
And it usually consists, for me, of A down.
Well, this is not the first time to have a musical item in a Zelda game.
Yeah.
Link to the Past had the flute, but...
It's the first time that you've actually gotten to, play
it's the first time you get to learn songs, because the flute was made to fast travel.
Yeah, summon bird, summon duck. I think it was a duck.
It's because apparently an obvious ocarina in Link to the Past is a flute.
Yeah. Well, I mean, an ocarina is just a flute anyway.
Yeah.
It's just a weird looking flute.
Oh, another thing that we haven't said yet: fairies are really good in these games.
Yeah, because in Link to the Past they heal 8 hearts upon death. In Ocarina of Time, they heal all your hearts. You could just equip 4 of them.
Yeah.
And just
never
I'm
die.
not dying today.
Never die.
And then there's fairy fountains where they just spawn.
It's kind of what made the 3D games really easy.
Yeah. Although I think in one of the later ones they changed it so the fairy only heals 8 hearts again.
Oh, we mentioned Impa. It's kind of relates to Impa. Zelda plays kind of more of an actual role in this game.
Yeah,
she plays a role in the other games, but she
does things besides get captured.
Get captured. That
only happens at the end of the game.
It is revealed at the end of the game that she is the person that's been teaching you all these songs. Spoilers.
Look, this game can drink.
Yes.
We don't need to talk spoilers here.
I just always say it just for the giggles. She is.
This game
Sheik.
is old enough to drink.
She is Sheik. She was trained by Impa
to become a ninja. And a crossdresser.
Yes. One of the greatest reveals in gaming history, but I think a lot of people saw it coming.
I don't know if I saw it coming.
I didn't.
But then again, I was 8. So
I was probably around the same age when I actually beat the game. But this was also the first game to have a traveling companion.
Yeah, the fairy navigational system, or otherwise known as Navi.
The very annoying fairy.
Not the worst fairy, though.
Yeah, one of them.
The only thing that I find annoying about her is in the 3DS remake, where she's like, hey, you've been playing for 2 hours now. You should take a break.
I hate games like that.
And
Wii Sports also did that.
It's like, stop it. I don't want to take a break. I want to play more. You can't stop me.
Didn't Skyward Sword also do that?
Yeah. I mean, it told you, hey, your battery's running low too, idiot.
Yeah.
Like, oh, thanks. Thanks.
This was the first game to also introduce masks that would later play a pretty huge role in another game.
There's only... So, yeah, this game's got 8 masks. 4 of them are useless.
Most of them are useless, except for the Mask of Truth.
The bunny hood actually has a use.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't make you run faster in this game.
It doesn't, but that's not the use I'm talking about.
You give it to the guy.
Yeah, and if you wear the bunny hood at night...
It's a side quest. It's the child side quest.
If you wear the bunny hood at night, the stall children will not spawn.
Really?
Yes.
I actually didn't know that. I thought if you wore the... I thought it was the... What is it? The skull mask?
No, it's the bunny hood. The bunny hood just makes stall children not spawn.
I honestly didn't know that.
It's actually pretty great. Yeah, you should let me finish talking before you try to interrupt me and say that I'm stupid.
I feel like I know this game better than most people.
Not better than me.
I
didn't know that. You didn't know about the bunny.
There's some things I pointed out that you didn't know.
Anyway, let's talk about the mini games because some of them are fun.
Bombchu Bowling.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy Bombchu Bowling. I know a lot of people who hate it,
even though it can be kind of bullshit, but it's fun as hell.
Like, the only thing I hate about it is you don't know what prize you don't know.
You know what prize you're going to win.
You don't know what prize you're going to play for until you pay to play the game.
Actually, yeah, you're right. I was like, you know what prize you're paying for, and I was like, no, you don't.
You go in and like, hey, give me 20 rupees. Maybe I'll let you win something nice. Maybe I'll just let you win 20 rupees. Who knows?
There's only like 2 things you need to get there. I think it's a bomb bag upgrade.
Bomb bag and
piece of heart.
Mm-hmm. But still, I mean, you got to play it several times.
Oh, the minigame I really hate is the one with Skull Kid.
Oh,
and you have to do
memory game.
The song memory game. That one is just the worst.
I don't know. I feel like the one with the frogs is worse. It's not an official minigame, I wouldn't call it.
Anything where you have to memorize.
Because you don't memorize things with the frog minigame.
And that one has 2 pieces of heart.
The frog one?
Yes.
Well, you get the piece of heart for making them grow up. And then that's just by playing each of the songs.
And then you get another one for memorizing what they... memorizing... Okay, so each button...
corresponds to a different frog.
And you have to memorize which ones jump.
Yeah, and it's completely awful.
It's all trial and error, essentially.
I think at least if you're doing it on the N64, they're aligned with the buttons.
Mm-hmm.
But if you play the Virtual Console or the 3DS one, they're not aligned with the buttons. So you just gotta remember which button does what, and it's like, ugh. That's one heart piece I hate getting.
I think it was my last one because when I was doing my Master Quest playthrough on the 3DS remake, I was like, where is this last heart piece? I was looking everywhere, and then I was just like, did I get the first one from the... I was like, did I get this heart piece from the frogs? And I was just like, let me check. And I did it again, and I was like, why am I getting a heart piece from this? I was like, oh, there's 2!
The last time I played it, my last heart piece came from a different minigame, the chess minigame. The one where you gotta, cheat to win.
Oh, yeah. It's really satisfying when you get that without the Lens of Truth.
Yeah, well, I cheat to win. I don't care.
I've done it without getting Lens of Truth.
Man. I don't care at all.
It's fun.
It's not.
It's great. Have we even talked about Epona yet?
No, but there's still one more minigame. There's still the archery minigame.
Oh, the shooting gallery?
Yeah, and my favorite thing about it is I ruined it for Brennan.
You ruined it?
Yes, the shooting gallery theme, and I think it's the same as the Bombchu Bowling one, is there's a part that sounds like the J.G. Wentworth commercial. So every time it comes up, I instinctually say J.G. Wentworth, and Brennan's like, I can't stop hearing it now.
I feel like I need to hear it after this.
Oh, it's so bad.
I don't know if this is considered a minigame, but the Dampe race?
I mean, it's close enough to a minigame.
Because it is required to get the hook shot, but you can do it again for a piece of heart.
Yeah.
But you have to do it fast enough.
Yeah, and then there's also the other archery minigame, the Gerudo Training Grounds.
Oh, I hate that.
That one sucks.
Because you have to do that perfectly.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing it on the N64 and the analog stick just sucks.
Yeah. So anyway, to play the Gerudo Training Grounds, you need a horse named Epona.
Yes.
And this would be the first mount of the franchise.
The greatest mount in history.
The one that Link stole from Mario.
Stole?
Originally, Mario was intended to have Epona. In Mario 64, he was supposed to stroll up with a horse.
I actually didn't know that.
And they scrapped it so he could come out of pipe. And then Link got the horse.
I think it fits Link more, though.
It does. It really does. But,
then Ganondorf also got a horse. That's unnamed.
Yeah, horse.
Just evil horse.
I bet the horse isn't even evil. He's probably just like,
my eyes are just dark.
I just have flaming eyes, whatever.
It has the same color scheme as him, too.
Yeah.
Just orange, black.
So the fun thing about Epona is unlocking her.
Yeah.
Which requires you to make a bet that you can beat the horse. Well, actually, as a kid, you learn her song.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to, get her to like you or whatever. And then, as an adult, you go to the ranch, which is now being owned by Ganondorf's #1 fan. And so he'll let you ride a horse for 10 rupees for 2 minutes.
Yep.
You gotta play Epona's song, get Epona to trust you. And then after a while, he's like, whoa. You want to make a bet? You want a horse race?
I've always had trouble triggering that minigame. I've never, figured out what triggers it. Do you just have to, lap around with her?
I think you have to play the song twice.
I always thought you had to jump the fences, enough times.
No. You just gotta... You get you ride Epona the first time, and then you can talk to Ingo and tell him you want to quit. Then the second time you go in, he'll be like, "Wow, you can really work with that horse kind of well and whatnot." And then you have to. He's like, "Well, you know what? You're still not better than me. I'm the great Ingo."
Yep.
And so yeah, you win Epona from him, and then he's like, "I'm gonna lock the gate so you can't leave. The horse is yours, but you can't leave."
And then you break Epona's legs.
Yeah, you jump out and it's like a 30-story fall.
I don't know how Epona was like, you know what, this doesn't hurt at all.
Epona is immortal.
Pretty much, I guess.
No, but you just don't take damage when you're on Epona.
Yeah.
Just being in the vicinity of... That's why Ingo is going to give Epona to Ganon to make him immortal.
Back to minigames, the Big Po one.
That's not a minigame. That sucks.
That does suck. I hate that one.
Because the reward for that is a 4th bottle.
Yes.
And what you need to do is you need to ride Epona to find the Big Poes, and there's 10 of them.
And you have to kill it quick.
And so here's the thing. There's 10 Big Poes. You can have up to 3 bottles at that point. Mm-hmm. That is 4 trips. That is 4 trips to find these stupid Poes.
You also have to know where they spawn.
Yeah. But it's fairly easy. They all spawn in Hyrule Fields. So
yeah.
You wander around and bada bing, bada boom.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move on real quick, sorry. Epona is part of the trading quest.
I was going to talk about that quest next.
Because if you don't unlock Epona, you can't do that quest.
Really?
Yeah, because you have to use...
Is Epona even required?
Well, don't you have to wake up Talon with the chick, and he won't wake up or whatever if he can't go back to the farm?
Is that required to beat the game?
No, you can see the Bigoron sword.
But the Bigoron sword's not required either.
No, you can skip the Bigoron sword.
Because you can fight Ganon with the Megaton Hammer.
Yeah, or bombs or arrows. If you're...
Anything else besides the Master Sword.
Yeah. But, I don't know if Talon will leave, if that part of the quest line happens, if Talon won't leave. Maybe you just have to wake him up with the Kuko, the pocket Kuko.
Kojiro.
No, that's not Kojiro.
Oh, that's someone else. I thought you had to wake up Talon with Kojiro.
No, you wake up Talon with the pocket Kuko, and then she's like, "Hey, that Kuko looks really happy. Maybe you can make this one happy." And then she hands you Kojiro, the blue chicken. Mm-hmm. I love him.
Who do you wake up with Kojiro?
You don't wake up anybody. You go to Grog, who's hiding in the Lost Woods.
Oh yeah, and then
he's like, "Wait a minute. If you can tame Kojiro, you must be a nice guy. Here's some mushrooms."
Yeah. And then you take the mushrooms to the potion shop?
Yep, you take it to his mom, and she makes the medicine. And you take the medicine back.
It's gone.
There's a Kokiri there instead, and she's like, "Yo, that came from the forest. Give it back." And so you give it back, and she gives you a hacksaw.
I thought she... Oh, yeah. And then you give the hacksaw. How are you supposed to know you're supposed to give that hacksaw to the carpenter?
Because he's a carpenter. Also, he's Grog's dad.
Oh, and then he gives you a broken Bigoron sword, and then you take it to the giant Goron.
And then the Goron's like, yo, I can't see shit. I need eye drops. So you get a prescription.
Oh, this sucks.
Wait, no. Do you get Yeah, you get the prescription, and you have to go to King Zora, and he'll give you the frog. And then you take the frog to the lake house.
Somehow the frog spoils.
Yeah, it's a frog.
Somehow a frog can go bad.
So you take the frog to the lake house, and the doctor's like, man, I want to eat that frog, thanks. And you're like, no, these are for eye drops. He's like, oh, wasted.
Wasted.
And so, to spite you, he gives you the eye drops, which he didn't put any preservatives in because he hates you. So now you have to run all the way back to Death Mountain where the Bigoron is. And it's actually a really easy run if you've planted some beans as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the beans, too.
And then you gotta wait 3 days, and the Bigoron will give you a sword that's unbreakable.
Makes the game very easy.
I mean, it basically says you're not gonna defend, you're just gonna be on the offense all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what else have we not talked about off this list? We are getting very long into here.
Castletown?
Yes, it added Castletown. There's mini games and a mask shop, and you can buy a shield.
There's also the Temple of Time.
Yes. An important place where you can time travel.
Pretty much. First 3D game.
It was the first 3D game ever made. No, it was the jump between Link to the Past and obviously, but it was the jump between 2D to 3D. And I think it did it fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're edging on an hour. We should probably wrap this up.
Yeah. We're not going to get to that hour mark?
No, we don't need that. Well, we're gonna talk about ranks for a little bit, so that might be about 3 minutes.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's make it an hour long.
Well, with all that being said, I'd give it a 9.
I would also give it a 9.
All right, then. Barely edging out.
Why would you give it a 9? Why do you think... What makes this game a 9?
Well, aside from my rose-tinted goggles, just the setting of it, the pacing, everything feels good. There isn't anything I go, man, this is like a horrible part that they shouldn't have added.
I'm trying to think what makes this game suck in any way.
Like, the only thing that I can say that's not so great is the water temple, but like... Even then, that's...
If you're good at the game, the water temple isn't that bad.
Like, even the water temple isn't really awful. Like, everything in this game, I think, tried to do it, and I think it does it well.
Mm-hmm.
Without just kind of relying on, hey, check out this thing we did, like, 10 years ago. Isn't it pretty cool?
Mm-hmm.
So...
I think this game is good because it pioneered Zelda in a new way. This is when Zelda started to get really good, in my opinion. Because no game after... You might disagree with me on some. But no game after Ocarina of Time was bad.
I mean, there were a few bad ones. But we're not going to talk about this just yet.
I love the story. I think it has the best Ganondorf. It has the best dungeons. I've already said that. Debatably the best Link.
Yeah.
The Hero of Time is debatably the best Link.
I mean, in the story, he's the one who fucks up the most, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, think about the pressure that Link has on him, though.
Yeah, but this is the one that messes up the most. So it's like, think about it this way. In one timeline, he's defeated. Like, that's already bad. In another timeline, people are like, oh man, he killed Ganondorf, he's gonna come back, he's gonna kill Ganondorf again, and then he doesn't.
He's not there.
And in the
Ganondorf takes over everything.
And then the third timeline, he leaves, and then he becomes a Stalfos. This Link kind of has it bad.
He does.
I mean, he doesn't have it quite as bad as another Link later. Oh.
I think that Link has it pretty bad, to be fair, because that whole world is in an apocalypse.
But I mean, this Link for the longest time was just, he had it rough. He had the worst outcomes.
I don't know. I think it just pioneered something great. Like, because I remember, like, Wasn't Ocarina of Time the game that just sold out Nintendo 64s?
I don't know. Before my time, dude.
Like,
I know.
I like to do a lot of digging.
I know it came out in like November, and it was Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Like it outsold.
It's the only game to receive a 99 on Metacritic.
And it was like the first game to also get a 40 out of 40 on Famitsu. Which is, I think there's like 20 of those right now.
If you haven't, we spoiled a lot of Ocarina of Time in this, but if you haven't played it, we strongly recommend it. If you own a 3DS, it's pretty easy to get your hands on. Nintendo 64, a little harder. If you own a Wii U, it's a little easier.
If you own a Wii U or a Wii, well, not a Wii anymore. Can you? Was it on the Wii U Virtual Console?
It is on the Wii U Virtual Console.
Okay, so there was an update for it, so you could, yeah, okay. Because I know you can't get it on the Wii one anymore.
I was like, I own a Nintendo 64. I don't need to own on the Virtual Console too.
I own it on like almost every system. The hardest one to find would probably be the GameCube version of it.
Oh, like the collection?
Yeah.
I would love to own that.
Yeah.
Because
I've seen it a couple times, and I'm like,
doesn't that has Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask?
I think it's got Zelda 1 and 2 on there as well.
That's a good collection.
Yeah, and that's a really...
I'd spend money on that.
That's a really good bundle. Anyway.
Let's wrap this up.
Yeah. So,
we got, what, 19?
18.
That's a pretty good score.
Yeah. That's the second... Oh.
That is the highest.
I mean, it's the highest, yeah, but I was going to say it's like the second low, or the second highest score it could possibly get, but, we can get 19 out of something.
Yep.
So anyway, we've been chatting about this game for an hour now. It's very obvious where our feelings lie with this one.
Yep.
So we'll see you next week when we talk about another N64 game.
All right. See you guys then.
See ya.